Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Once Upon a Crescent, a collection of bedtime stories for young Muslim children. I am your author and storyteller, Mrs. Hashmi. Are you ready to travel to a land far, far away? Tonight's bedtime story is called Rahimi the Raccoon. In a dark, dingy alley behind a royal palace lived a group of raccoons. They were the opposite of royalty. They were scrap-sniffing, leftovers-loving, garbage bin-sorting raccoons with a huge appetite. Well, all but one, that is. Rahimi the raccoon was the oddball of his group. He did not have the same excitement as his fellow raccoons when it came to finding their meals through the leftovers of people's trash bags. He truthfully never enjoyed his meals. He ate simply to survive. But his group members, Jamal and Yayu, ate to experiment and enjoy different things. They would eat absolutely anything from people's trash cans. It could be bitten out of, crumbled, squished to bits and pieces, and they would still gobble it up with delight. Rahimi didn't feel any of the enjoyment that the rest of the raccoons showed when eating. He felt empty and incomplete when he ate. Imagine if someone invited you over to a pizza party and they excitedly handed you a slice of pizza, but instead of a nice, even, three-sided triangular slice, you were handed just the crust. Ugh, imagine that feeling. That's how Rahimi felt when he looked down to the garbage can to find his meal. Rahimi stepped away from the trash cans and from his friends. He called out to them, guys, I'm gonna go check this other alley over here and I'll be right back. He scurried away quickly to the next street. Rahimi sat on a cardboard box when he got to the other alley. He sat there feeling all mixed up in his feelings. Rahimi thought out loud, "Oh, I never get to eat anything good." He heard himself talk harshly and sat in silence for a minute. He sat up straight and made a small dua to himself. He raised his little raccoon paws up and said, "Oh Allah, I don't mean to be ungrateful. I know that whatever food that I do get, it's a way for me to actually get energy, and it keeps me full, and I know that this is what I need to survive. So I'm going to change the way I see things and try to be more grateful, because hey, at least this food gives me good energy. Oh Allah, I know that you have said in the Quran, be grateful to me and I will increase you. So Allah, please increase me in the way I enjoy food. Ameen." Rahimi took a deep breath and sighed. Alhamdulillah. He dragged himself up to open the trash can next to him. He twisted and turned the lid open, but froze in place as he heard a little trinket sound. It was the sound of a cat's collar. Rahimi saw a prim and proper cat. Her collar matched her beautiful fur pattern. This cat was all white with a few patches of orange. Rahimi looked at her collar and read her name. Manubili, it read. Manubili was perched on a chair in this alley. A door opened up and a man came out to place a can of food in front of her. Manubili meowed at this man as he pet her and returned back into the door. Manubili caught Rahim staring at her food and said, "It looks super gross, doesn't it? I mean, these people have me eating right out of this tuna can. I don't even have a proper dish." Rahimi walked over to her where she was looking down at her food. Manubili was shaking her head in disappointment. "Go on, you can have this. I'm not interested in this tuna anyways. They fed this to me yesterday. I was hoping for chicken today." Rahimi stared at Manubili in disbelief. "Wait, you don't have to search for your food? Oh, it comes to you and you get different things every day? Wow, do you realize how lucky you are? I dig into people's trash every night to eat their leftovers, and here you are complaining about a newly, freshly opened whole can of tuna. Whew, man, some animals can be so ungrateful." Rahimi said as he sniffed the can of tuna and stared at how complete and whole this meal looked. It was untouched. Rahimi the raccoon was so used to eating parts and pieces of things that the sight of a whole meal, untouched, felt like a royal meal. He gobbled it all down and made sure to tell himself to remember how good this tasted. Alhamdulillah, Rahimi said, satisfied. Manubili was walking around the alley, uninterested in anything. She sat down on Rahimi's cardboard box and asked, "What are you going to do tomorrow when you have to go back to eating out of the trash cans?" Rahimi felt sad about that thought. He didn't have an answer. He sat down next to her and said, "I don't even really care about what I eat. I just want it to look good. It has to look proper and nice, like your can of tuna. The food was in a proper container, all perfectly and neatly packaged inside. Anything I eat is scattered everywhere." Manubili licked her paws slowly and asked, "So you're saying as long as the food looks good, you have no problem eating it?" "Yes," Rahimi replied. "Exactly. That's exactly what I mean." "Well then, I suggest you plate your food before you present it to yourself." Rahimi looked confused. Do cats always talk so fancy?" he asked. Manubili smiled. "Listen, you have to change the way you see your food so that you don't think of it as trash and so that you don't think of it as people's leftovers." Rahimi was loving this fancy way of thinking. "Yes," he said. He told Manubili to wait right there. Rahimi turned around and opened the trash can lid and held it in his paws upside down like it was a huge box of pizza that he was about to serve. He brought the round trash can lid in front of Manubili and said, "Welcome to my fancy restaurant called Tuna Cafe. Today I will be serving you an amazing, creative new meal." He lowered the trash can lid that he was pretending to be a plate on the ground and ran to the big black trash bags, and he pierced through the bag like he always would and sorted and sifted through all the garbage until he found a few very specific things: red slices of leftover apples, half-eaten orange slices, a bright yellow banana peel with just a bite of banana tucked inside, and a brown crust of sandwich. Rahimi started to stack his scraps of food together. He pieced them together very carefully. He arranged it in a way where the random bits of leftovers started to link to each other and fit in a neat, tall arrangement. The end result? It was a colorful tower. Red slices of leftover apple stacked on top of half-eaten orange slices, which were stacked on top of yellow banana peels, which was stacked on top of a brown crust of bread. And best of all, his tower was topped off with random stems and pieces of cherry. "Wow," Rahimi said. "Now doesn't this look like a complete and wholesome meal?" He looked at this creative arrangement and spoke to Manubili. "Now this is something to look at and feel happy about while eating. Alhamdulillah." When Rahimi exclaimed Alhamdulillah, he realized something immediately. "Manubili, this is it. This is what I asked for earlier." Manubili stared at this fuzzy, excited raccoon in front of her and asked, "What did you ask for earlier? A pile of leftovers?" Rahimi looked at the cat, annoyed. "No, I asked for Allah to increase me in a way that I enjoy food. This is it. This is how I will enjoy food. First of all, my dua was totally answered because that can of tuna you gave me was literally the best thing I've eaten all month. Secondly, this new skill I just discovered about myself is going to be so awesome to use. What I'll do is I'll use a trash can lid to plate my food and arrange it in a way that it looks good to me, and I want it to look whole. If it looks good, then it'll taste good. Alhamdulillah, I'm so thankful that my little dua was answered. It's going to change my life forever." Rahimi the raccoon was twirling and jumping around in excitement. And that's when Rahimi's group called out to him. They were wondering where he vanished. Jamal and Yayu spoke. "Rahimi, are you there? Did you find anything in this alley?" Rahimi replied, Yes, I found something. I found the most amazing thing. I found the one thing that will change our lives forever." "Is it a box of pizza?" asked his brother Yayu. "Because you know how much I love cheese pizza." "I don't really know how our life would be changed forever by a box of pizza, though." "Oh, that means it's probably not a box of pizza." Yayu stopped talking as he approached Rahimi and saw this amazing, marvelous tower of food art. Whoa! Yayu's big raccoon eyes got even bigger. He stood on his hind legs and drooled out spit from his mouth. "Yuck!" exclaimed his friend Jamal. "I rarely say yuck to anything, but seriously, your spit is dripping from your mouth. That's gross." Jamal turned to face the tower, and he saw the exquisite detail that went into piecing together this food structure. The bright red apple slices were used as a base, then the half-eaten oranges on top, then the yellow peels of banana, then stacked on top was a brown crust of bread, and finally it was all topped off with random stems and pieces of cherry. Jamal didn't have any words at first, but then he felt Yayu's drool drip down on his shoulder and said, "Yuck! Yayu, you have to do something about that drooling problem of yours. You know, you can just ask Rahimi for a bite instead of silently drooling on me." "Oh, Rahimi, are you gonna let us try this?" Yayu asked. Rahimi was enjoying the reaction of his brother and friend. "Of course, this is what I wanted to show you. I found a way to eat our food in a better, more enjoyable way. From here on out, we will use these trash can lids as our plates and arrange the food on here first. We'll say Bismillah and then make our cool food art. I promise you it'll taste better." Yayu interrupted. "Wait, so when will we eat? I like art and all, but I don't like waiting to eat." Rahimi chuckled. "We'll eat it right after it looks presentable, as soon as it looks good." Rahimi pushed the trash can lid closer to his group and nodded to them, signaling for them to dig in. He watched as they very cautiously picked fruit pieces from the tower and ate it with such care. "Rahimi," asked Yayu, "it feels like we're royalty eating fancy food artsy things." Speaking of royalty, Manu Billy waved salam to her new raccoon friend and pranced back to her owner's doorstep. Alhamdulillah. Rahimi was so relieved. He finished eating his food art tower and licked the trash can lid clean. He finally felt different towards food. He finally enjoyed eating it the same way that his group enjoyed eating. Rahimi felt grateful to Allah for answering his dua and increasing him in the way that he enjoyed food. Rahimi, Yayu, and Jamal were just about to head out and leave this alley when they heard something scratching on the cardboard box. The three raccoons crouched down to take a look at what was causing that scratchy noise. It was a pair of beetles. They were sitting and listening there all along. They squealed and exclaimed, "Hey, Rahimi, can you teach us how to make food art with our food? Sometimes we don't think it looks very good. Here's what we have for our dinner to work with." The beetle pushed the brown ball in front of Rahimi. "Yeah, of course, I can show you. Wait a second." Rahimi stopped himself quickly. He sniffed around in the air and paused. "Wait, what kind of beetles are you?" Rahimi asked slowly. "Oh, we're dung beetles," they replied. Rahimi took one look at that big brown ball and scurried away with his group as fast as his legs could carry him.